Welcome to our channel. Today, we delve into a thought-provoking topic that touches many lives. Why no one likes feminism? Modern feminism as it is, everyone can see. Despite the fact that it should be noted that feminism can look very different, its factions are really hundreds, including some really peculiar. It turns out that only a very small percentage of women identify themselves as feminists. And you do not have to look far on the internet to see that the movement is associated with a large number of people, at least negatively. The question, however, is why this is so. While often, especially from the mouths of celebrities, you can hear that feminism is a fight for equal rights, and if you support equal rights, then naturally you should support feminism, and if you do not support it, then you are not for equal rights, and you are a sexist. And it just so happens that this is precisely the first problem. This type of putting oneself in the role of the determinant of morality and slogans in the style of "who is not with us is against us" not only automatically discourage many people, but also present a familiar attitude characteristic of religious fanaticism. As in the case of any other fanaticism, it boils down to active moralizing of society, e.g. through pressure on what words should and should not be used, what characters should look like in movies or games, or even attempts to criminalize certain opinions. One of the most prominent examples of this was the situation when Formula One gave in and resigned from the grid girls because the performance of beautiful women before the race clashes with progressive social norms. As a result, many women lost their jobs. As early as the 1970s, Simone de Beauvoir argued that no woman should have the right to stay at home to raise her children. Society should be completely different. Such behavior and statements are not only usurping the right to represent the interests of all women, but also claiming the right to rule what is and what is not good for them even against their own choices. And of course, it can and should be said that absolutely not all feminists agree with this, and many of them focus on what feminism is supposed to be about. However, if we look at how the version of equal rights advocated by feminism looks like in practice, we encounter a problem. If we look at the definition of equality, we see that it is really about equality before the law. However, if we look at the popular equality issues, we see that none of them are about equality of rights or opportunities. All these demands are about equality of outcomes. The best example of this is the ever-raised issue of the gender pay gap, where it is suggested that women earn less than men for the same work, yet the average earnings of all women are a few percent lower than those of men. You have to look closer to see that these results come from different career choices by members of the groups in question. Men are much more likely to choose hard and risky, but better paid work and work more overtime. Contrary to what is being tried to suggest, both women and men receive the same pay, and the so-called gender pay gap is a myth. Striving for equality of results in any field, taking into account the diversity of choices, is not a fight for equality. It is a fight for the privileges of a particular group. And these examples, of course, do not exhaust the definition of feminism, but the fact that feminists in Europe do not fight for equality is nothing surprising for a very simple reason. Equality of all citizens before the law has prevailed in civilized countries of Europe for a very long time. And anticipating slogans such as "in the 19th century women had no rights," I remind you that for most of history almost no one had rights or civil liberties. And either as a woman you had to be obedient and raise children, and as a man you had to do physical labor or fight in the army under a particular ruler. For most of human history, no one had it easy. And even today, there is certainly no shortage of problems in society. And as much as possible these problems can be talked about and fought against. There are women who describe themselves as feminists, doing so without going to extremes. This is perhaps the main reason why most people do not like feminism. The vast majority of people do not want to fight and win against people of the opposite sex. They want to live and cooperate with them normally. And I guess that's seeing the behavior of feminists. Most women do not want to identify with them because they do not want to be told that men represent the opposite side of the conflict. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and like for more content like this, and remember to research the world.